Look over to your left, and you see that tower that says Oklahoma State University, right?
Yeah.
That's a new tower that was just put up a few years ago. And what that means is that we're in Oklahoma State University country, so to speak. But what that also speaks to is the fact that that particular hill, or part of this hill, was called Standpipe Hill, which was the water tower initially when Tulsa became a place. And that was the location that military-style tactics were used against the community, where an automatic gun was pushed up there, and they shot down from that vantage point onto the community. So let's think about the boundaries. We're on the western boundary of the community.
Okay.
To your right is Greenwood community. And to your left, of course, would be Standpipe Hill. And then let's think about people living right across from each other, seeing each other's houses. This area that we're in to our left, to our right here, would have been the Detroit area. And this is where the more affluent community lives of African Americans. So doctors and businessmen and lawyers. And they had two-story Victorian homes right there. And right across the street over here, you would have had Victorian homes that were lived in by the whites of the community.
Oh, my Lord.
This was the more predominant, affluent area of whites. So you have a beautiful vantage point over here. You see how hilly this is and beautiful this is? Right. So this, onto your right, is the legally segregated area of Greenwood. We're driving the length of the community at that time. So if you think about Tulsa's formation and how it was kind of set up, is that, let's think about the shape of a donut. And inside the middle of the donut was the African American community. All around the community sat the white community. So you're constantly watched. And decisions are made that you're not at the table to help make those decisions. So remember, to your right is Greenwood District. To your left is not. This is a legally bound area that we know of that is part of a structure of legal segregation. And we're going to turn right at the light. I hope. No, I'm not doubting you. I'm thinking about this parade. That's what's on my mind.
Everything else going on.
That's right. So we're on the western boundary right here. As we turn the corner, this Pine Street is what's known as, and still known as, the section line.
Yep.
And this also is the northern boundary.
Right.
But let's think about what that means, northern boundary. So, as power builds, and in order to become a particular type of a city, you have to gain more and more land in order to be considered a 3-tier or 4 or 5-tier city. So if you have a community that's sitting too close to where you are, being that downtown kind of a setting, you want to kind of push people back further and further. So the community always said that what happened to them in 1921 was about a land grab, right? So what we know now is this was the northern boundary right here, this Pine Street. And just a little bit, a couple of blocks even further north, all the way to Queen. And then as we get into the 40s and 50s and then 60s, we see new development of African American communities, neighborhoods, began to form. So the community is steadily pushed north. So now all of this is African American. If we keep going back further north, it's African American. On to where the new Booker T. Washington High School was built in the 50s. And now that we know that part of the ownership of land down where we were is the city of Tulsa, then wasn't the community telling the truth to begin with in 1921 when they said that? So whose narrative should we believe? The people that it actually happened to, or the people who perpetrated it against you? This is Carver Middle School, initially Carver Junior High School, built in 1920, opened in 1928. Across the street is the first black or second black hospital, Moton. The old building.
Oh yeah, that's where I was born. Yeah, that's where I was born.
And if we can kind of slow down here.
Yay.
That is an 800-foot mural that's wrapped around the stadium of Carver. Right? And Carver's football field, because you only had one football field, one field where you could do your games. This is where Booker T. Washington High School had their games. At this, so you would walk from Greenwood over here. Also to have your graduation. Right across the street here, this is was where Dunbar Elementary School was. And then this street right here, Lansing, is where we're going to turn. We're going to turn right. So right there at Carver was where Greenwood was that light, where the police barricade was. Okay, and if we go up here a little bit. And go across this intersection. Okay, so now this is where the new Morton Health Center. We're staying right up here. Yeah. Okay, so this is the eastern boundary. So what this means is over here, this is a very industrial-looking area. So the community lived over here. Right? There were houses over here. There were businesses over here. There were stores over here.
Goodness.
Homes over here, churches over here, people over here. So who's to say that your neighborhood is not good enough, right? You're living under legal segregation. And under legal segregation, we need to really ingest that you have no rights under legal segregation. So much so that nobody's ever been charged to this day for what happened. And so we can stop right here, about right here. Yeah. So, okay, stop right here. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Okay. So, and we're gonna get out here because I don't know if you probably haven't had a lot of time to walk around and pay close attention. The reason we're gonna get out here is for you to try to walk as many places as you can on sacred sites, okay? And so there is a little brass plaque right here on this sidewalk, right? And that little brass plaque denotes that a business was this far over. A business. And the only reason you don't see more plaques situated on the sidewalks of where they actually were is because when you work with the city of whatever and community members and then the state and you begin to run out of money, then you have to be strategic about how you're going to still try to get the idea across about what you want to do. It was important for the community at the time to try to recognize where people were. Now just think about that. If you had to prove where you were and put it down in a sidewalk because nobody was going to do it. That's what the community did, was they put these little markers throughout the district, along the parameters. So you could not be denied, even though there are directories, even though, you know, there's land information, right? you still had to put down the marker in the sidewalk. The gravity of that attack from 1921, the community's ability to rebuild, and then the systematic destruction of the community with urban renewal, desegregation, and a highway system is what we're really dealing with on top of ourselves. So we're on top of all that history. So let's just get off really quickly. I want you to see the marker, and we're going to get back on really quickly. Okay? Quickness.